So, chroma keying is when you draw around the subject. You can take them out of the background, remove the background, place them on another background. That's how it works. Matte painting is basically a glass pane or perspex in front of a scene. Go away, man. You draw over them the perspex or glass to add to the scene, make it look bigger than it actually is, or not. Different lenses you can use when filming. Prime lenses such as a 50mm lens. It's just a good overall lens, gives you a nice depth of field as well as focus. Or you could use a zoom lens, which is, you know, you can zoom a bit. So green screens have changed a lot from the past. King Kong used a green screen when he was on the tower. They green screened the background in, obviously. Looked a bit funky, but back in the day, it you know, no one could really notice it. Modern day technology using green screens and chroma keying, like Avengers, they literally make entire sets, planets, and just everything is basically just a green screen, all shot in a studio. So that's how it's changed. From my research, I learnt about set extensions. Set extensions are kind of useful to make the set obviously bigger, longer, and also add things into the sets. I just learnt about chroma keying, matte painting, so that's pretty useful because as soon as I did an interview for my final piece, I needed to chroma key out the main subject. I also learnt about lenses from a tutor. We did a whole session on lenses, which lens is the best for what you want to do. That's pretty useful. And learnt about formats as well, which format is the best to export in, which is the lowest file size as well as maintaining a high quality. So that was what we learnt. So for my final piece, technology I used a green screen because I was doing an interview. I also did a chroma key to remove the subject, place him on the background. We added just a plain coloured background. Used a lot of zooms as well, done in post and prem. Colour correction was also done on the thing. It looked a bit desaturated when we first did it. Added a bit of colour to it, made it look a bit brighter, made it look more appealing. We used a 50mm lens to get the depth of field, as well as just a Canon 60D and a tripod. So I did an interview for my final piece. So the genre is going to be documentary based. Took a lot of inspiration from Genius on YouTube. They do a lot of interviews, and I was just kind of the same style as that. They kind of invented that style of interview. It doesn't really relate to any authors, but it kind of, I don't know, it's a documentary, so there's not too much to do with it. Codes of conventions, it's obviously an interview, there's questions being asked, someone sat there, got a few outtakes in there as well, editing, you know, it's just basically an interview, like a solid interview. So my first idea was to kind of use the green screen and implement a mix of interview to documentary about the area. But I kind of scrapped that idea in the end and just went for a more simple interview. Thought it would be a lot easier, a lot cleaner, and it'd look a lot better. And that was the original plan. We planned to use a lot more sort of like techniques, like tracking and stuff like that, which we only used a little bit of in the end for text and that sort of thing. So the original plan was really just to implement all the things we'd learnt about. And yeah, we used the green screen, and in the end we ended up using the green screen. We ended up using a bit of motion tracking, chroma keying we used as well. So yeah. So the strengths and weaknesses of the techniques I used, we can't use the portable green screen, which isn't good because portable green screens have a lot of creases in them, which are kind of hard to key out in the end. It can kind of mess with the subject as well when you do that. They're fairly easy to set up though, and they're also quite cheap. So another weakness was that the subject moved around a lot, and also one of the mic operators kept bringing the mic into the shot, and we had to key that out as well. So that was a bit of an issue. Apart from that, everything was in focus, and the green screen actually went quite well. Just depended on which colour you chose to turn. We noticed that if you used a brighter colour, it worked a lot better with the background. If you used a darker colour, it kind of messed with the subject as he was wearing dark clothing at the time, and it made it a bit fuzzy and a bit grainy. We also had to smooth out the edges of the subject a little bit as they come through a bit blocky and weird, so we smoothed those out, and the end product actually looks quite good. So the strengths and weaknesses of the techniques I used, we can't use the portable green screen, which isn't good because portable green screens have a lot of creases in them, which are kind of hard to key out in the end. It can kind of mess with the subject as well when you do that. They're fairly easy to set up though, and they're also quite cheap. So another weakness was that the subject moved around a lot, and Also, one of the mic operators kept bringing the mic into the shot, and we had to key that out as well. So that was a bit of an issue. Apart from that, everything was in focus, and the green screen actually went quite well. Just depended on which colour you chose to turn. We noticed that if you used a brighter colour, it worked a lot better with the background. If you used a darker colour, it kind of messed with the subject, as he was wearing dark clothing at the time, and it made it a bit fuzzy and a bit grainy. We also had to smooth out the edges of the subject a little bit, as they come through a bit blocky and weird, so we smoothed those out, and the end product actually looks quite good. So.